Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Correct Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2017 movie titled Logan. Now, Logan is a superhero action movie that runs for 2 hours and 17 minutes long. It is directed by James Mangold. It is produced by Hutch Parker, Simon Kinberg, and Lauren Schuler Donner. The script was written by uh, Scott Frank, James Mangold, and Michael Green. The story was written by James Mangold. The score was done by Marco Beltrami. The cinematography by John Matheson. And the editing was done by Michael McCusker and Dirk Westervelt. And the stars of the movie are Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Daphne Keane, Boyd Holbrook, Stephen Merchant, Richard E. Grant, Eric LaSalle, Elise Neal, and Elizabeth Rodriguez. So the story goes a little something like this. Emanating in the year 2029, the mutant race is on the brink of extinction. So we have an aging, disheveled shell of his former self, Logan, played by Hugh Jackman, the once mighty brave leader of the X-Men. He is now living a secluded lifestyle, working as a chauffeur in a dystopian junkyard desert in Mexico, with his ailing mentor, Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, and his loyal, pale complexion servant by the name of Caliban, played by Stephen Merchant. So trouble starts brewing as Logan, against his better judgment, must protect this mutant girl named Laura, played by Daphne Keane, from an assembly of bounty hunters in pursuit to wipe them out, led by Donald Pierce, played by Boyd Holbrook. What did I think of this movie? Well, I really actually thought that the human drama seems to really come to life here. Aside from the human drama, I also enjoyed the acting. The acting was really brilliant. I was just ashamed, though. It was just a shame, though, that the movie did not win the Oscar for Best Screenplay. It went to Get Out. And there's nothing personal against the movie Get Out. I thought it was still a brilliant movie nonetheless. But I still think that Logan was 10 times better. And by right, I think this movie deserved to be the winner at this year's Oscar. You know, nothing against Get Out. Jordan Peele's script was really brilliantly done, and it was a great movie. But I thought Logan was definitely the best film of 2017. And not just because I'm a huge fan of action superhero movies, but because I'm also a big fan of director James Mangold, who was Oscar-nominated director for the movie Walk the Line. I mean, that movie too also had captured a few Oscars, especially from Reese Witherspoon, and I believe Joaquin Phoenix was nominated there. So, you know, it was at the hands of a brilliant director. And I think that if this was the way to send off both Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in their respective roles as Logan, Wolverine, and Patrick Stewart as Professor X, then I guess this is the way to do it. Yes, I know it's a little disturbing to see these two guys wither away, because we don't really want to see them go this way. But I still think that the storytelling was really effective, the pacing was well executed, and I think they brought out very, very provocative performances all around. I really, really, truly enjoyed these guys in their respective roles, and they really, really pulled off a really great film. It was very provocative in its detail, in its nature, and I know, hats off to both of them. They really, truly delivered, and I think this was really, really good. I'd have to say that the supporting cast was really well. I mean, The other real standout performance, definitely too, was Daphne Keene's character of Laura. Oh man, she, for a little girl, she can really, really kick ass. She's cunning, she's brutal, and she can really, truly deliver. If they're gonna make a spin-off based off of Laura X-23, this is probably the great stepping stone for it. Yes, we all know that all things must pass, and this is Hugh Jackman's way of passing the torch over to Laura. Then I guess he's doing it in the right direction. If they're gonna go out, it's always best to go out in style. And you know what? Salute to both Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart for 17 years of bringing us the X-Men franchise to the big screens, and they did it very, very effectively. And like I say, nothing lasts forever, and we just have to sort of realize that all good things must pass. Will there be another like reboot of the X-Men and stuff like that? Maybe not for a long time, but you know, after 17 years of playing Wolverine, it's time for Hugh Jackman to sort of either move forward. And Patrick Stewart, he's been around for a long, long time. He entertained us all in the 80s with the Star Trek: The Next Generation, Captain Picard. This movie actually truly shows that these guys wanted to go out. This is the way to do it, and I think this was a real step up from the other previous Wolverine spin-offs that had came before this one. It's a shame that all the other former members of the X-Men like Storm, Cyclops, Sabretooth, and the rest of the other gang do not make it. But I guess this is just a way to say that this franchise not necessarily will not be dead, but just sort of moved forward. Yes, it's a little bit disturbing to see, the once almighty powerful Logan be in the stated condition that he's in. It's a little sad to see, the once sharp-minded mentor, Professor X, wither away to semi-dementia. But then again, when you think about it, superheroes don't live forever. Superheroes are going to fade out. They're not programmed to be eternal. And I think this is kind of like truly what the message it comes across. And that, here we see, Logan, he's now drunk. He's practically living in his car. He's basically driving around his mentor. They're living in some kind of deserted, isolated, dystopian settlement, if you could call it a settlement. I mean, it seems like it's just almost like semi-recluse. You see Wolverine. He doesn't know really what to do to spare his time except drink a lot, and he's coughing up blood. It is painful. It is disturbing to watch, to see this guy wither away. He's out of breath most of the time. But then you've got to really realize that nobody lives eternally. It could happen to them. It could also clearly happen to us. We get to see a more humane side towards the superhero characters, and they're not all just panned out comic book characters come to life. These guys are trying to do everything they can to prove that they're not comic book characters, but actual human characters with just superhuman feats that's beyond humanity. I mean, he's got the claws. He still has that out. He's got this kind of like rod in his back that kind of keeps him from falling to death or anything like that. But as you all know, these are, underneath all that superhuman strength, they're still human beings. They're just like you and I. As we get older, we wither. These guys are no different. So since 2000, Hugh Jackman has played the iconic Logan and slash Wolverine, and it's this role that definitely put a stamp on his career. So after 17 years, this ride definitely must come to an end, and in Logan, Hugh Jackman will unleash the dreaded claws for one more hurrah. The big difference between this movie and the previous solo films about Wolverine is that the action is definitely more tense, the drama is more uplifting, and the action scenes are violent, but they are very well choreographed. The best thing about this movie is that director James Mangold gave the superhero action fans what they want, and to that what they deserve: an R-rated film that shows no remorse or any watering down in its action scenes. So through all that dicing and slicing with his claws, Jackman looks like he's never lost his step. So aside from the gory scenes, Mangold, along with his screenwriting cohorts Scott Frank and Michael Green, have successfully managed to fully bring Mark Millar and Scott McNiven's Old Man Logan comic series juxtaposed with a homage to the classic westerns like 1953's Shane and 1992's Unforgiven. The character of Logan himself has an identical psyche to Alan Ladd's character Shane and Clint Eastwood's character William Money, a vigilante who's willing to leave the past behind him and decides to sort of unwind until something horrifying happens which resurrects his old habits. This time around, Logan has to supervise this little girl who wants to uh, who wants Logan to bring him to some town in North Dakota where she will be reunited with her other fellow Reavers, which are another mutant race who also have special powers. Sort of just like the X-Men. They all have superpowers. They all have some sort of capability that's beyond humanity. And that's one of the beauty thing of superhero type films is that, yes, as surreal as they seem, they still somehow manage to bring out the imagination that goes beyond our reach. Yes, there is a lot more humanity towards it, but still, hey, the superhero effects are still come to life here. Maybe not in an over-the-top type of fashion, but it still delivers, and it still delivers quite effectively. In spite of the gloom settings and the cynical tones that's kind of delivered in this movie, there is an equally balance of humor to definitely lift one's spirit so that you won't leave the theater depressed. Yes, it's sad to see, two of the most beloved characters in the X-Men franchise wither like this, but at least, you have some great funny moments, especially the scenes where Laura is, entering a department store and she steals a few things, including a pair of sunglasses. And then, Wolverine walks into the store and he demands to buy some batteries, and they walk out of the store without paying, and a few other, the bounty hunters who are trying to kill off the Reavers there also walk into the store. So there is some funny moments. There's some funny quips, some clever one-liners delivered here and there. I really, really, truly think that this movie it has an effective storyline told, and it's under the competent direction of James Mangold, who once brought us such great films like Walk the Line. So the direction is truly in great hands here. Let's talk about the performances, okay, shall we? Yes, we shall. Hugh Jackman delivers a strong performance as Logan, being that this is his swan song as the film made him who he is, gives everything he can to close out this chapter in his movie career. He truly delivers. Yes, he might seem out of breath at times. There is an actual logical explanation why he decided to step down as Logan. Is simply because he's done his time as Logan, but also at the same time they say because he's also battling cancer, skin cancer, I think it is. And so he wants to kind of slow down from the quick-paced action stuff and want to get into more. I guess he'll probably settle for more like independent dramas and other movies just outside the superhero genre thing. Maybe nothing lasts forever. Maybe he might go into more action stuff in the future. I mean, you never know. But I think he's done his time with uh, with Logan, and if he's going to go out this way, then that's very admirable of him. Patrick Stewart, he's definitely remarkable as Charles Xavier, and though it can be sad seeing this once powerful mentor in this aging condition he's in, Stewart still pulls off convincingly. He's got some of the best one-liners in here, though at times it's a little disturbing that he's often constantly belittling and berating Logan. But then again, he's getting old. He's senile. He doesn't have the mobility anymore. Most of the time, he's often seen in a wheelchair. It's sometimes a little disturbing to see him, wither away like this. I mean, we knew that the characters were going to meet their fate because it's as predictable as it comes. But at least if they're going to go down this way, they're going to go down, and they're going to go down big. Wonderful performances definitely come from some strong support from Stephen Merchant. Stephen Merchant is the pale complexioned servant by the name of Caliban. Caliban, the reason why he's kind of albino complexion is because he's got sensitivity towards the sun. He's definitely, very loyal to both. He's kind of almost like not only just a servant to Logan, he's also kind of like a personal nurse towards Professor X, and he does a brilliant job in a subtle role. Yes, it's kind of sad to see that 3 of the main characters here pass on, but I think this is more like a pass the torch instead of the all things must pass. If they're going to go by way of having X-23 Laura become a superhero and to build a franchise of them, this is actually not the end, but just the beginning. Maybe just the beginning of some new things to come. Hey, you never know. Let's see, we also have Boyd Holbrook as Donald Pierce. He does also quite a commendable job as one of the leading villains in the story. He's of course the guy who has that mechanical hand. Even though I think it would have made better sense if they would have made him into a full-blown cyborg, because if I'm not mistaken, in the X-Men comics, Donald Pierce is a cyborg and not a semi-cyborg. So I think maybe they should have did some altering in that kind of role, but I still think he did a formidable job, and hats off to him. Richard E. Grant as the Doctor. He also who seems to be doing some kind of research based on these reavers. He turns in a great performance too. Uh, he of course comes across. At first you may think he's doing this to help people, but then he realizes he's kind of like a secondary villain in this. But he also seems to play it off quite respectively. He is, of course, the guy behind the organization to wipe out the Reavers, but at least it's good that the bad guys definitely do get their comeuppance in the end, even though it's kind of sad that even the good guys themselves get their comeuppance as well, unfortunately. You know, fate does kind of play a pivotal role in the end, but it doesn't show no bias towards both the good guys and the bad guys, because as you all know, all the good things must come to an end somehow. Just like life itself. But the real scene stealer in this movie comes from the performance of Daphne Keane as the mutant Laura. She was just flawless in her performance. Boy, I tell you, she was really dynamic here. She turned in probably maybe the best performance in this movie, and she pulls it off very, very well. She is kick-ass, she is deadly, she is dangerous, and she is probably somebody you don't want to mess around with. She may look like a cute, adorable little girl, but she is lethal. She doesn't have a lot to say, but her emotions and her cunningness really tell the story very, very effectively. Like I say, if there's going to be a spin-off based off her, and that this is a good way to pass the torch here from Hugh Jackman to Daphne Keane. If they're going to go with her, or if they're going to do a spin-off type of movie based off of X-23, seeing her as an older person, that would also be probably welcomed in the theater with open arms. But we'll see how they go with this. But I still think, you know, she does a formidable job. She's kick-ass, and she makes you invest into seeing more of Laura X-23 in the near future, how they make out with her. If I could find a solitary flaw in this story, it would definitely have to be the editing. The main scene could have been better was when the mutants are hiding in a remote area. I think they could have been fleshed out a little bit more, but I'm not really going to let that deter me too much here. So when everything sums up, we should not say that this is the end, because in the end we don't say goodbye, we say see you later. And even though Jackman may not play Wolverine anymore, there might be another performer who might play him if they ever do a remake or a reboot. Hey, you never know. But, and then though this may be the end of an era for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, at least he went down in a big way thanks to his enduring performance and Mangold's sharp direction. This is truly a send-off that everyone will remember. This is really, really a great movie that I really highly recommend. And if I was to give this movie a scale out of 10, I would give Logan a 9. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, and don't be rude. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Red Rider saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.